Hey guys, in today's how-to video, I want to explain how you can optimize your live fire IPSC and USPSA training if you only have a limited access to a live fire range. Over the past several months, I've received several questions from subscribers asking me to make a video to explain how my team and I are actually organizing and structuring the IPSC trainings at the local indoor live fire range, knowing that they as well as we only have a limited access to a local indoor live fire range. For us that means we have one time slot of 3 hours on a Tuesday evening, where we have to set up the drills and stages, we have to put on our gear, we have to give the briefing, make sure that there's some time for walkthroughs and dry runs, and start a rotation to then clean everything up so that the range is ready for the next day. And based on the conversations that I had with several subscribers, this is not uncommon, and I would rather think that this in general is the rule and not the exception. On top of that comes the fact that in a lot of regions in the world, to include in Europe and in Belgium, the times have become very difficult as far as getting your hands on reloading components such as brass, powder, primers, bullets, and so forth. And if you can get your hands on them, they are extremely expensive. So that certainly also plays a role in live fire training, I can imagine. Now, what I strongly advise against is to just arrive at the range without having a plan, without knowing how many shooters are going to be there, which divisions they're shooting in, what levels they shoot at, and then trying to work something out whilst you go along, because you are losing a lot of valuable time and a lot of opportunities. So I strongly recommend to make sure that one or a couple of people are actually leading and providing context and proposals as far as training is concerned, to even make the stage plans if that can help, and the training objectives, and then share that amongst the different shooters so that everybody can get their input, and that you have a solid plan to work on, and that as soon as you hit the range and you have access, that you can immediately start constructing the drills and or the stages so that everything goes in an optimal fashion, and you limit the amount of non-shooting time to an absolute maximum. I also want to make a very quick sidestep and underline again the importance of dry fire training for a lot of team members, as well as specifically myself. If I want to measure, improve, and also learn new techniques, my dry fire is the setting in which I actually do all these things. I don't do this during live fire training because of the limited time span, and the dry fire training provides me the opportunity not only to measure, improve, and learn, but also to check how especially the new technique, how it suits me, because it doesn't mean that when a GM level shooter, for example, applies a specific technique, that you can just copy paste it within your context and that you will get the same results. One of the things that will have an impact is how does it feel, because there's rarely one specific technique for to solve a specific part of the stage. There are multiple techniques, and you have to find the one that suits you best and gives you good results as far as time and accuracy is concerned. So live fire training is where we test, measure, and benchmark ourselves, and especially train under more realistic circumstances, especially concerning the recall management, the trigger control, and so forth and so forth. So that is what live fire training is for. Another small sidestep as far as live fire training is concerned, obviously this is also dependent on the size of the range that you have at your disposal, and then the total number of shooters overall in your team, the different levels, and so forth and so forth. But for example, my team and myself, we limit the number of shooters to 7+1, so 7 shooters of different divisions and different levels, and one trainer that organizes everything. Oftentimes there are a couple of ROs or pistol instructor shooters present also, but that's the ratio for 2 reasons actually. The first obviously is safety above all. If you have a small range and it's completely packed with shooters where you have limited space to put your gear and to maneuver, that actually increases the vulnerability of having issues arise. So safety is the primary reason, and the secondary reason on the same level, I would say, is the quality of the training. Because if you have too many shooters for specific training, that means that the total round count will drop significantly. You'll have to wait longer before it's your turn in the rotation, and the learning curve is also going to be adversely impacted. So I also strongly recommend to limit the number of shooters per training to keep it safe, and also to keep it at a high qualitative level. Now, as far as the structure is concerned, I work in increments of weeks and months, and every month actually uses the same basic structure, in which during week 1 we go into technique mode, and technique mode starts with 5 to maximum 10 minutes of dry fire training online with empty guns and empty mags and no ammo around, just to warm up a little and do some reps. And then we focus solely on basic as well as advanced techniques that we incorporate in different types of exercises and drills. We do not set up stages, we do not shoot stages, and we do not keep official scoring. What we do is to note points of attention, areas of improvement, and timings that might be interesting, but this is done on a personal level. But we don't shoot any particular stages. So the focus here is on the correct execution of the individual techniques, making sure that the process is correct and efficient, and we do not lose time with these different techniques. In week 2 we enter into strategy mode. Again, we start off with dry fire just to warm up a little bit on the safe conditions, and then the focus on the training is really on strategy, from start to end, discussing hit factor, walkthroughs, stage planning, visualization, and everything that deals with it. So a lot of theory combined with practice. Here too, there's no official scoring. We shoot somewhere between 3 to maximum 4 stages that are oftentimes repeated, and yes, I know that's something that we do not encounter during matches, that we can repeat a stage. Worst case scenario, maybe a reshoot if something has happened, but the focus is not so much the training itself or the stages themselves better, but really hit factor, walkthrough, and see what if we change something, what is the impact, how do we do our risk benefit analysis or risk reward analysis, and how do we conduct ourselves as far as visualization is concerned. For new shooters, we also explain in this mode what the unspoken rules are as far as your place in the line, doing the walkthroughs, helping patch, and so forth and so forth and so forth. In week 3 we go into speed mode, where the focus is really on speed, and I'm not saying that accuracy is completely irrelevant. No, on the contrary, in speed mode accuracy remains important, but the weight is more placed on speed. We start again with 5 to 10 minutes dry fire, and then we have 5 to 6 stages, sometimes combined handgun PCC stages for the shooters that want to shoot PCC once in a while. This is maximum of once per month actually, so not a lot for people that are interested in PCC. which is, for your reference, not really developed here in Belgium due to many different circumstances. But the focus here is to integrate everything that we've seen before as far as techniques are concerned and strategy, combine that, but we do not keep official scoring of these stages. So we really focus on speed. How far can we push ourselves without having an adverse impact on accuracy on the targets. And the speed mode, we focus on two different pillars. First of all, the transitions in between the different shooting positions, and then secondly, the transitions in between targets of target arrays. So this is what we are really focusing on speed mode. And then to close off, every month we enter match mode, and match mode is a level 1, most of the times within the club, sometimes on an interclub level. 5 to 6 stages, a mix of short, medium and long courses with a wide variety of things in it, oftentimes based on what we've seen in the weeks before, under as real life possible match conditions, with also official scoring and ranking, and also communication to, for example, our federation, the BPSA, who will receive notification of the match and the results and the issues that might arise. And this is something that then we repeat on a monthly basis, and we always change the different the contents for the different weeks. So it's never the same, it's never the same drill, it's never the same stage, it's always different, but there's always a purpose, there's also always an objective and a strategy behind it. Why do we use this methodology? I can imagine that there are many other ways to train, again, dependent on where you are located, your access to the range, your level, the composition of your team, the different levels of the different shooters, and so forth and so forth and so forth. But again, this is based on, within a specific context, limited access to a local range, with also limited spaces that we can attribute to people to actually shoot. Our overall objective is actually to build the self-confidence and the self-image of the individual shooter, as well as the total of the team, and to expand everybody's bank of information by exposing them to a lot of not only basic and advanced techniques, but also different things that they can encounter during matches, different arrays, different targets, different target settings, distances, and so forth, to make sure that the surprise element is taken out of them coming to matches and being surprised. Because if you're surprised when you arrive at a match and there's something that you've never seen or heard before, your anxiety level will rise, and it will probably have an impact on your self-confidence and your self-image, which might have an adverse effect also on your stage and your match results. So our overall objective is to really make sure that there are no surprises for the individual shooters when they go to matches. Is this 100%? No, but we try to get as close as possible. Another point I really want to make is really take notes on a personal level as a personal shooter, and also take some data as far as the overall team is concerned. What was trained, what for, based on what, when did you train, how many people were there, how many stages or drills did you shoot, what was the round count, were there any specific issues, especially safety issues? Because if you train multiple times per month, I mean, do you remember what happened 2 months ago? So that's why it's always important to keep notes, not to really to punish people, but to keep it as some kind of a ledger reminder. And if somebody has, for example, too many safety issues, you need to determine what the cause is for that, and then also get and determine a plan to remedy it. But if you don't take notes, you don't know, it doesn't catch the attention, and then it might lead to issues further down the road or during a match, which is even worse. And also we note down the things that go very well, and also the areas for improvement that we can incorporate in upcoming trainings as far as the different modes are concerned. I strongly recommend also, if in any way, shape or form possible, to film yourself and maybe also the other shooters from ideally, if you have the possibility, from a first-person perspective and from a third-person perspective, because both perspectives will give you valuable insights on how you move, how you transition, how you reload, how you transition in between shooting positions, how you conduct and hold yourself, and so forth and so forth and so forth. These videos should initially be intended for self-analysis and self-learning. And if you want and you feel comfortable, you can actually share the information like I do, for example, of my training and most of my matches. I share everything online just to keep everything structured, but also maybe they serve as some kind of inspiration for other shooters to learn something from the different videos and techniques, so that they can also evolve and grow based on the inspiration I try to provide. So this is how my team and I are actually organizing a live Fire IPSC training on a local indoor range, considering the fact that we only have 3 hours per week.